I think it gets off the ground a little faster in real life, actually. Although, no, the altitude here is similar. It used to be that in the game, the plane was a bit more overpowered and had a bit more performance than in real life. But they have had an update recently, and now it behaves a little bit more realistically. And it has the 80 horsepower engine in the game, and so I'm wondering if that's why it doesn't quite perform as well as it does in real life now. So that's okay. A little less performance is sometimes just a little bit more realistic. So yeah, flight sim video. Sorry guys, I didn't really want to do a flight sim video this week, but if you look outside, which you can't because we're inside, it's snowing, and it's going to continue to snow from now until the weekend. So yeah, I'm not going to get a real life flying video in for you. So I thought I would give you a little bit of an update as to what's going on and what sort of plans we have in store for the future. And what better way to do that than to just talk to you about it, but that's boring, so let's do it on Flight Sim, and you can watch some crazy Flight Sim flying at the same time. You see this little spot down in here? I'm going to try to land in there. I'm probably going to crash, but we're going to try because it's Flight Sim, and if we crash, it's not a big deal. So, a little engine update. We have passed the 60-hour mark on the engine now. The second oil change has been done. Now, I did say last time I was going to try to bring you along for that second oil change, but things didn't go well, just in terms of logistics, timing, scheduling, getting the cameras out, finding the parts that I thought I had that I didn't have. So I was not in the right frame of mind to be doing any filming, and so it didn't happen. The plan was to install an oil spigot in place of the drain plug, and that way in subsequent oil changes I wouldn't have to pull the drain plug out and get oil everywhere. I could just open the little spigot and oh, look at that, that wasn't terrible. And then I could change the oil without getting, because the location of the drain plug on the oil reservoir is in such a place that when you take it out, you drip oil all over the firewall and the engine mount. It's just not in a right spot. So you can get these little oil spigots, they're brass, they have a valve on them, and then you can just put a hose on it and then open the valve and the hose goes into whatever you want to drain the oil into. And so that's what I wanted to install, but I couldn't find it. I knew I had ordered one. Brent said he had one there at the airport, and I couldn't find either of them. So I'm going to have to order another one, and I'll do that on the next oil change. And then oil changes will be quite a bit easier and less messy. That was an interesting takeoff, eh? We did manage to get out of there without crashing into anything. I think in real life I would have soiled myself. However, here we are. Having not soiled myself, I shall continue with the narration. So, oil change at 60 hours. The first oil change was at 25 hours, and that's what the manufacturer recommends. And then they say every 50 hours after. Well, if you can do quick math in your head, you can probably determine that 60 hours is less than 50 hours past 25. It should have been at 75 hours. I don't like doing oil changes on weird intervals. It would have been 75 and then 125, then 175, and so on and so forth. I wanted to do my oil changes on 100, 150, 200, 250. It's easier to remember to do it that way. So I thought I would just do another 25-hour oil change. It didn't work out. It turned into a 35-hour oil change, but again, it's not a big deal because it was supposed to be 50 anyway. So from now on, they'll be done on hundreds, 150, so on and so forth. So easy to remember. Nothing to report in terms of the oil change. Everything looked great. To cut the oil filter open and check everything out. All good. So I'm not concerned with the engine at all. Dave came and helped me. We did a little bit of a run up. He loves the way it sounds. He says it's nice and smooth. The carbs sound nice and balanced. Everything is hunky-dory on the engine. The one complaint I have about it is that it's carbureted. Carbureted engines work really well if you have a mixture control in the cockpit and the 912 series, and so of course this Chinese clone, the C100, does not have a mixture control in the cockpit, necessitating a carburetor disassembly and adjustment anytime you want to change the mixture depending on your atmospheric conditions. I don't want to get into all of the details, but suffice it to say, the colder it is, the more fuel you need, and the warmer it is, the less fuel you need. And what ends up happening is in the wintertime, your carburetors need to be adjusted to be richer, and in the summertime, they need to be adjusted to be leaner, and that means taking the carburetor, don't fall over, darn it, scraped my wing there. That's okay, it's not my wing. Get back up here. Come on. Hey, turn around quick anyway. This is not going well. This is not going well at all. I'm gonna just kind of power through this. There we go. There we go. This is great. This is fine. Everything is okay. Don't worry about that. Everything's all right. We'll just kind of ignore that little snafu there. What was I saying? Carburetor adjustments. Right. Irritating. So really the only way to get by that is to install an electronic fuel injection, and that's expensive and complicated, so of course that's what I'm going to do. Brent and I have decided that Edge Performance produces the best EFI, and so that's what we're going with. So an Edge Performance EFI has been ordered, and it will be en route in the next couple of weeks. And once the weather turns nice, where we can work outside in the hangar without freezing our fingers off, we will begin that installation process. Now, with an EFI, installation comes with other complications, such as a header tank. So you have your two fuel tanks in your wings, of course, as you would. And with the carburetor, that's fine because the oil, the fuel just drains from the tanks into the engine via a fuel pump, and feeds the carburetors and all is hunky-dory. Well, fuel injection needs to be pressurized, and so when you pressurize fuel, not all of the fuel has to go into the cylinder. In fact, you squirt way more fuel down the lines than the engine needs, and so the extra fuel has to go somewhere. So it's got to go back to the fuel tanks. Well, the fuel tanks are way up in the wings, and it would be a lot of work to run a return line all the way back up there. And so normally what you do is you put a header tank in. So it's going to be a small 1 gallon header tank that will sit behind the seats in the fuselage, and that is where this isn't going to go well. It didn't go well. We're aborting. Here we go. This is fine. Don't worry about this. This is all right. What's a few trees? We are going to try that again, though. That looked like it was fun. So the header tank will be installed in the baggage compartment, if you will. No, it's not. So the header tank will be installed behind the main seats, inside the fuselage. The fuel return line will go back to that. So both fuel tanks will feed the header tank, and then the header tank will feed the engine under pressure, and then the pressurized return line will go back to the header tank and circulate through that way, and that will solve that problem. Now, we are trying to figure out if we require the header tank to be vented. Theoretically, once the header tank is full of fuel, it should never get air in it again, and it should never become vapor locked. So theoretically, we don't need a vent line from the header tank back up to one of the fuel tanks, and that's what we're trying to avoid, because that didn't work out well. Because that's a lot of work. We'd have to detach part of the airplane's top wing and get access to one of the main fuel tanks. So if you know anything about EFIs, and if you know about what I'm talking about, and you can offer some insight as to whether or not we actually do need a vent line from the header tank up to a main wing tank, please comment and let me know your thoughts on this. Alright, so I have ended up in a precarious situation here. That landing did not go well. This is not going to go well either. Whoops. Well, alright then. We'll just kind of power off down this hill and we'll try that again. Or we'll find another spot to go. That might be just a bit more challenging than my expertise here. Ha! I never give up. We're going to try that again. So, that's the plan. A little header tank goes in the fuselage and run some lines and put in the Edge Performance EFI. That will supposedly give us a little extra horsepower. I'm not sure how much extra, if at all. That's theoretically possible, but I don't know for sure if it will be. What it will do for sure is improve the efficiency. So we will burn less gas, which is great because that means we can go further. It will completely remove the threat of carburetor icing because there aren't any carburetors. And it will remove the requirement for adjusting the carburetors for different times of the year, which I'm very excited for because changing carburetor settings, while not the end of the world, is a good half-hour job. And you know, if I want to go flying and the temperatures just dropped and I don't have time to do all that, you know, I kind of end up not being able to go flying because I have to do carburetor changes instead. Look at that. I made it. I knew I could. Now we're just going to kind of continue on this way and down this little path, pop a notch of flaps, fly through that shrub. That's not the end of the world, right? Avoid that tree, dive down here, and crash into the mountainside. Ah, we missed. We're all good. Everything is fine. So yeah, EFI for the engine. I'm excited. What other changes do we have coming up? Possibly a paint job coming up soon. The paint is a little old, and we're not I mean, I like the color. Brent would like different colors, and I'm okay with that too. I like different colors as well, and what's wrong with changing the color of the plane? So we might do that. We'll see. That's a futuristic thing to do, perhaps. Oh, streamlined struts. So if you look on this plane, it has, let's see if I can zoom in there a little bit and you can see. Where's my zoom button? There you go. See the struts? They're tubes. Where's my mouse? Oh boy, I broke something. Huh. Anyway, enjoy this view for a minute while oh, there it goes. There, these struts here. Those are tubes, and if they were streamlined, they would offer less resistance while we're flying through the air, and you get a little bit better cruise, and a little bit better climb, and a little better glide. So we have new struts in the hangar. We just haven't installed them yet. So again, possibly this summer, get those installed as well. After that, I don't think there's anything else we're going to do. So that's kind of the update. I guess that's kind of it. I didn't really have anything beyond that to talk to you guys about. I did get a set of skis built for the plane, or we got a set of skis built for the plane, Brent and I. I'll showcase those once they get to the hangar. They're not at the hangar yet. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to use them this year, but they'll be all set for next year, so that'll be good. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Sorry for the flight sim video. I wish I had a real flying video for you guys, but the weather just didn't cooperate this week, so flight sim it is. I'm gonna see if I can land one more time in a tight spot here for you, just for giggles, and then I'll sign off, and we'll see you next week, hopefully with a real life flying video. No promises, but I'll certainly try. You thought I was going for the field. Nah, we go for parking lots around here. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully in the real plane.